Go on there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's very clever technology.
This one as well.
Yeah.
Just knock everything over.
Alrighty.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I forgot my vape.
Oh
I'm
really?
gonna get ants in.
Where is it?
I don't know. It's at home.
Oh, I love this song.
Under blue moon I saw you, so soon you'll take me up in your arms too late.
Yeah. Tristan Sturmer.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
Hey, good.
Fuck yeah, thanks for coming down.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, hell yeah. When did I ask you? When did we ask you? A week ago?
About 5 years ago.
No, we've always thought about having you on, but we just haven't got around to asking people. There's a whole list that we have, but we're just like slowly dipping our feet in. Slowly, we don't want to blow out our whole network at once because it's gonna get annoying, man. I can feel it.
You got to make it a slow burner for sure.
Yeah. People are just like, oh fuck, it's that guy asking about the podcast again. Oh shit. How you been, man?
Yeah, good. This is my first ever podcast.
Oh,
shit.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be fine. If anyone's gonna fuck it up, it'll be us. Yeah. Don't worry.
That's cool. I feel like I've got to the point in my life where I've accepted that I'm a complete fuck up.
Oh wow!
And,
really?
And if I fuck up here, it's like it's cool, you know. Like it's.
What makes
it's
you
who
say
I am.
that?
I'm joking, by the way.
Oh really? Okay.
Don't take that seriously.
I was going to go deep and say, yeah, I fucked up as well. Like, yeah.
Oh.
I thought we were going to go around in a circle and explain how fucked up we are.
Yeah, how fucked up we are.
Thanks,
yeah.
Tristan. Thanks for ruining my moment.
No, that's all good. That's all good.
You're a well-balanced person, though, aren't you? I actually don't know you that well.
You know
to
what?
Be honest, yeah.
I am. Sometimes I get like real emo, and I'm like, am I a little bit fucked up?
Yeah.
And but then I go to my family and I just see it, and they're like, "You're a normal, boring person. Get over yourself."
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
And in a way, it's kind of nice.
Yeah. But you find that a lot in the creative industries. A lot of people just struggle with self-esteem issues.
Maybe
is there a correlation there, or am I just fucking...
you know what? Like, I mean, they say it, but I mean, I do work around a lot of musicians, and I was going to say maybe that makes me feel maybe slightly more rounded than if I was hanging out with, professionals is probably the wrong term, but more straight down the line kind of.
Instead of the amateurs.
Those downtown professionals on the side of the road, Tristan. You got to watch out for them.
They scare the crap out of me, I tell you. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Like a disease.
So you run Sumo?
Yeah,
You own, like, is that your thing, your baby?
That's my baby. Yeah, that's my structure. Yeah. That's I mean, I bought it off someone. And all this gear I've just been saving up for, since I was just a little critter working a part-time job. So yeah,
cool. So what, you just kind of saved up and got gear, and you thought, well, fuck it, let's just have a studio. Is that kind of how it went?
Man, I guess there's, I could give you my, wait till the biography comes out for the full story.
Tell all.
That's going to be pages upon pages of context. But yeah, in a nutshell, I just always wanted to play in bands, and I think that what happened was I just couldn't get into bands, and I was studying at uni, and I kind of probably matured enough to get that I should probably learn how to do this because it might be the smart thing, which turns out, it was probably a smart move, even though I still secretly just want to be a rock star. Let's face it, don't we all?
Yes.
Yeah. You see a lot of that, muso/production crossover type thing.
Do you think it's a lot because a lot of musos are trying to find ways to do it themselves and cut costs and shit?
Well, that's
So
too.
people are like, oh well, I'm a muso. I should learn how to do all this production stuff.
Pretty much. The more skills you have, like, you know, that's why if a band is like, you know, this guy does this guy does that, it's like you're gonna kill it because it's such a more, I don't know. I mean, there's more bands than there used to be. Just straight up, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's so much more of a hands-on type of like world, and those that really like, I mean, you know, it could just be, I think one skill set is understanding, you know, industry stuff and maybe how to do the business, because at the end of the day, it's still capitalism.
Yeah.
So,
Must crush capitalism.
Yeah. Well, it's all because we've talked about universal income quite a few times on the podcast, and it's like because as a human, we have. Where the fuck have you been? No, I'm kidding. But because there's a reality that we all have bills and shit, so we have to.
We're in the race. We're in the Monopoly game.
You have to. There's a certain amount of work that you have to do, or if you're on Centrelink, no work. But
that's also great, but not that great either. Unless you can do some secret stuff, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
We won't say that though. You know,
Cash under the table.
Yeah. But there's a reality that you have to pay for bills. So I think a lot of people. I know I fell into the same trap where I'm like, I have to legitimize what I'm doing, so I have to do a course in something, you know, and that was the start of it. And for us, it was TAFE. We went through the 2 TAFE courses,
well, see,
or 2 or 3, I can't remember. Yeah,
I'm actually the opposite because I started just doing it, and this whole time I carried this maybe slightly imposter syndrome feeling that I didn't actually study. I didn't do a course like you guys.
Yeah.
And I always just thought, you know, like I didn't sort of dwell on it, but when you start working with people that go to like whatever, you know, some academy and they're also awesome, which is the main thing. You know, like it's not just the actual backstory to where they've been, but they're that good, and you can see that there's a direct correlation, and it's just like, oh, shit, you know. But I think in my case, I just kind of just had to figure it out and throw myself in the deep end, and that's just one way to go about doing, I guess, kind of pursuing any kind of goal. Yeah.
So where did it all start from you? Like how old were you when you first realized like music was a thing?
Great question. Well, how old was I when I first realized music was a thing? That's so cool. That's like, forget about, you know, whatever you're doing now. Yeah. It was well, that's so hilarious. Because I actually don't think about it ever, but it's like, I remember I used to just dance in front of the, like, definitely show off kind of, you know, demeanor. And I just remember always being a bit of a dancer, a bit of a show off. And then, you know, this is all just like toddler to whatever. And Michael Jackson was just, you know, everything.
Yeah. Wait, how old are you?
I'm 30 years old, bro.
Yeah, 30. Okay, I'm 31. Yeah, Johnny's 33. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, cool. So we're all like literally in the same era. So you know,
it's almost like a relief. It's almost like a relief now, but I think like, you know, it's like the fear of anything in life. Like I feared turning 30, but it's just like then you're just like, what? Who cares? I'm way happier now.
You've got plenty more years to fuck up.
It's like. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I there's a thing where it's like every decade is trying to undo the damage from the previous decade.
That's certainly true as well.
Yeah, trying to pick up the pieces, trying to get your life back on track. But I think it was the same for me. Yeah, what about you?
Hey,
what about you?
Music.
Yeah,
starting
music.
I just remember like when we were kids, when we had the old cassette decks. Yeah, and when you wanted to record, you had to press play and pause, play and record at the same time. And, you know, I was always recording songs off the radio. But it was like at that time where you just listen to what's on the radio and you're not really taking it in. You're just hearing this music.
Yeah.
But I think it was, must have been when I was like 13, 14, when Blink-182 and shit started coming out. That's the sort of music where it sort of kicked, like, when I actually started noticing music.
Yeah.
It was like Blink-182, White Zombie and all that stuff. Those kind of...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the thing about Blink-182 is it's funny that you mentioned that because that was literally... I mean, I listened to Blink-182. It was just sort of part of that back catalogue of whatever was cool, appealing to teenagers, like whether it be Korn or whether it be Limp Bizkit or whether it be Millencolin or Blink-182 or Good Charlotte or whatever. But I remember when I watched the Urethra Chronicles, that first DVD.
Yeah.
That was sort of like, that was kind of. I think it was just such a clown around, like being like an immature kid as well. It just had that appeal. Like I was literally like the target audience and consuming it. But it definitely kind of sparked something like, oh, okay, I kind of want to do that, like...
Yeah, because at the time it was so different. Like, when it came out, it was, not different, but...
I don't know what...
Same, but different, same.
I think,
you know what I mean? Like,
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, for that kind of stuff, I think it was more... It's like the guitar... It was probably just contextual, for my personal experience, but that was when I first picked up the guitar, was when I, like, heard that music, and I think because it was like... okay, yeah, I can learn how to do that with an electric guitar.
It was easy to play.
It was exactly.
Power chord.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Blink-182 was actually the first concert that I actually paid to go and see.
Right.
The first ever concert.
Right. Mine was Deep Purple, and my dad took me to that.
That's way cooler.
Entertainment Centre, yeah.
Well, like I said, paid. The first concert, first live concert I ever saw as a kid was the Rolling Stones down at Perry Lake Stadium.
Oh, what a way to kick it off.
On the Voodoo
Voodoo
Child.
That's a good grounding right there.
That's it, yeah.
That's a solid welcoming.
Hoisted up in a tree, looking over the stadium, watching Keith Richards come out in a leopard print trench coat, and Mick Jagger being shot out of the stage on like a catapult.
Really?
And that's when I said, I'm going to be a fucking rock star. I'm going to fucking do that.
Wait, how old were you?
Oh, fuck, when was this? What year was the Voodoo Child tour?
No idea.
Early 90s, 92 or something like that?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to look up.
Myself.
Yeah.
Although, speaking of Blink-182, that Tom, what's his name, Tom?
Tom DeLonge.
Tom DeLonge. Yeah, he's come out with a lot of crazy stuff at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's into like the whole aliens and the whole conspiracy thing.
No, with Joe Rogan?
No, I didn't watch that. No.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, but he came out with a lot of weird.
I think he gets too much.
Stuff.
He gets too much stick, though. I don't know. Like everyone around me, sort of that heard that was just sort of taking the piss out of it. But it's like.
But a lot of musos have gone out to the whole conspiracy thing, including like Jonathan Davis. Who else? Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins. Like they've all
him as well.
Yeah, him as well. He's a big into conspiracies.
I feel like I've heard a couple of podcasts with him, and he feels quite. If that's the case, maybe a little bit less open, or not always opening every door of his brain, because I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's funny, I just found the entire set list from that show. It was actually April 8th, 1995.
Sick. Right. That's a good year.
They opened with Not Fade Away. And I remember they pretty much end every set with Jumping Jack Flash. But I just, fucking Rolling Stones. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
to see them again.
It's that was the thing. It was their live... live, which really, I think I didn't really realize that until watching the documentaries and really delving into the visual, and then being like, whoa, they're just destroying. This in the context of what you as a kid would see and go, oh my god.
Yeah. Actually, I watched the Keith Richards documentary on Netflix, the Under the Influence documentary.
Ooh, is that worth watching?
Yeah, it's just about Keith Richards and his whole sort of blues and hanging out with Chuck Berry and shit like that, and just his guitar techniques, and it's just fucking good documentary.
Yeah,
Chuck
really good.
Berry.
Yeah.
What about that guy? Hey,
that guy.
The power stance for me is like, and then playing what he plays and what he does is
yeah.
But yeah, bit of a messed up person. Hey,
I think they all were. I think everyone has something wrong with them.
Back to that same thing.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to stigmatize it or stereotype. But
you're going to get done by the social justice warriors for that, my friend.
Yeah, oh shit.
But I've always said,
be careful.
Is it possible to write a song when you're not in some kind of mood? Like, you always say, heartbreak, bad moods.
I would say
yes. I just think that like
these things channel mutes like songs and stuff.
Like Chris Cornell, for example. I heard that he's got a pretty high IQ, or his IQ is quite high, which is a context for. I don't think it's a context for like. I mean, I don't know the guy, and it's probably ignorant on my part, but like if you are like deep enough as a person to maybe write, because for me, I honestly do think that it's a rarity when you like come across someone that has that depth of lyrical capability. It's one thing to do the melody, but the melody and the lyrics like intertwined, and it's sort of like it's a sculpting in its own thing, and it's you have to be a switched on person. Like that's you know, because if you're not, and I've seen it. Like, to be honest, I've seen it a lot. And yeah, I mean, that's why those people are rare. They're few and far between.
It's
really
weird. It's weird how the veil lifts when the person's not confident or they're not. There's something about that X
Well, that's
factor,
the thing. You
basically.
can be confident, but I think confidence gets you a long way for sure. But also, I think just, you know, like a sense of understanding people and the world around you, and the thing that's inevitably going to make you connect with, you know, like the world, because that's why people consume music. That's a form of connection, you know. But yeah, it's rare, but that's why it's so fascinating when you do come across those people.
Yeah.
It's inspiring.
Well, to answer your question, I think you without a mood, you probably could write. I think.
Yeah, but you end up just writing TV jingles.
Well, exactly, but there's a huge market for that. There's people that just write for the money, like they just like a factory.
Yeah, but when you look at like those memes that go around where they compare like Freddie Mercury's lyrics to some R&B singing nowadays, how those lyrics and shit back then was so deep and there was so much going on, and now it's just like repeat one short little line.
Yeah,
but you still get those people that they're just not like Beyonce is so not like, it's probably not your cup of tea, and it's definitely not my cup of tea, but like
definitely my cup of tea.
It's definitely someone's cup of tea, because they're making some bucks right there.
Yeah, but then what does it say about the listeners? Like,
well, let's not go there. That's a that's a very good point. It's like not everyone, they're. Yeah, let's not get into hierarchies here. Okay, maybe you're right.
But I do believe, like, with a lot of pop music now, not that because I like to get high and just listen to pop music, right?
Oh, don't we all?
And the weird thing is, like, it starts to expose this weird formulaic approach to it, where it's like there's the repetition, so you're going to remember the lines, and all the progressions are designed to hit you in the right spots. And so, you get those tracks where it's like it's just in your head for a month. Yeah, like, you can't get away from that track. I really do think there is a sort of weird craftsmanship behind it.
There's essentially a recipe for a hit tune.
Well, I think look, what stems to mind is Trent Reznor talking about how, in his mind, or at least how he's portraying himself to the public. He kind of, I think it was maybe after the Downward Spiral, or after one of those just absolutely iconic records of the time, the same as whatever's coming out now. Like, he had like massive anxieties about being able to reproduce anything of that caliber, like thinking, how the hell did I, so in his mind he's saying, I don't know how I did this. And I think that, like, it's like Jeff Buckley always also says that that like, if you can't say, you can't set out to do something, like you have to let it kind of take control and let it like there's not an end road, a predictable one. It's just going to kind of turn into something. And I think, that's a good way to see it, because then it becomes less about you and what you want to do in your ego, and you maybe just let it sort of come naturally and just be. Sounds very spiritual. I'm so sorry. It sounds a bit.
Well, they're
all. Maybe I'm a hippie.
That's music.
Thanks for bringing that out of me.
Cheers. You're in good company. It's fine. No, I think that's what it is. I think there's definitely a correlation between like the metaphysical and artistry. Like, you have to tap into that thing, whatever it is. And there's some people that even believe that the artist isn't really even responsible for the work. They're actually a channel for something else.
If I was that guy, if I was that awesome person, I would feel more comfortable with that notion than with some kind of egotistical thing that, some kind of God-like notion. But I think everyone's different. But I think that's a bit toxic. I mean, that's probably why so many people are self-destructive as well. Yeah. Being humble is probably the a good sort of channel to happiness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there is this.
I think I belong in Frio, by the way.
Yeah. I always think that every time I walk past. I'm like, I definitely belong here. I'm so much more comfortable just walking and burning incense and looking at crystals and shit.
I think the problem is I work in Frio at night, so I see the people that don't live there go there and just be. It's like Australians in Bali.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Yeah. You ain't from around here, are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
but
stopped off at the server on the way down to Fremantle. Was it this morning or yesterday morning? At like fucking 4:30 in the morning down. Wasn't just after Mosman Park on Stirling Highway?
Just after Mosman.
Yeah.
Just after Mosman, yeah. And at 4:30 in the morning, it was a Thursday morning, and a bunch of people obviously just got their Centrelink paychecks. There I am, just trying to get a Red Bull before.
Yeah. After you got your Centrelink paycheck.
Yeah. Just keep that one out.
That's something to be ashamed of, man. You paid for it with tax. It's fine. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Like the amount of tax I'm paying these days, I tell you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll take the dole and not feel guilty. I'll just take my money back.
Yeah. As that comedian Steve Hughes said, you can put in like
I love that guy.
maximum effort for minimum wage, or you can put in minimal effort for minimum wage. Like, why not just get Centrelink? Because even when you do get a job, you're probably going to get fuck all hours anyway. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem with the structures that be right now, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
just like, it's
it
clearly
is.
not like, and it's annoying because I wish that it was just working because it would be an easier road.
Yeah. Well, Centrelink fucking provided for half of this shit.
There you go.
I was on Centrelink when I bought half.
Centrelink and black market crayfish.
What the fuck? Yeah, Johnny's been crayfishing, but anyway, yeah. I mean, I don't know, because it's like there's this stigma where people are like, you should feel guilty if you're on the dole, and I'm like, fuck, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't feel guilty. Well, if you're on it for like 10 years, then maybe. And you're not doing anything to better yourself.
I mean, I guess this depends on your definition of dole bludger, right?
Exactly,
like,
right.
well,
but there's still that stigma where, okay, you're in the queue for Centrelink, you're automatically a lazy cunt. And
But
I think,
but I think that's a misconception now, because you do have to do shit. It's not like you sign you up and then they just give you money.
you got to pretend to look for work. That's about it.
You got to forge a few side job things.
Yeah.
No, the whole work for the dole type thing, where you have to like put in 15 hours of work and they actually give you tasks and even like online courses and shit they make you do.
Yeah. Oh, and that's like an option if you don't have a job for anyone, is it? For the work.
Well, yeah. Well, people who sign up for the Centrelink payments, they've got this thing where you have to do like online courses, and you have to say put in 15 hours of work per week, and they add that up using online courses.
Right.
And they say, well, that's your 15 hours work, but you still have to...
Is that like, do you get paid more than just doing nothing? I've never been on
No,
the dole. I don't know.
That's the thing. You can't do nothing anymore.
Oh,
that's what I'm trying to say. Is you have to be doing like an online course,
right.
looking for work.
Well, you have to do work related activities that count towards you possibly getting employment.
Yeah.
So you've got to do these activities.
Yeah, which is shitty fucking online courses that take 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right.
I did them for a bit and I sat there. I'm like doing this online course going, what the fuck is this? This is for like, I don't want to say it, but a fucking retard word.
How dare you use that word?
Designed for remedial. For remedial.
Right, okay, that's better. That makes me feel better. Yeah. That's the appropriate use of the word. But there are people out there that need it, that really need it. Obviously, yeah.
Well, I think that some of us take for granted, like that we do have maybe like advantages just by not, particularly with the mental health thing. Like I mean, I don't. Again, it's easy. It's easy to kind of like use it as a pretend thing, but that sucks for where it is genuine and it is debilitating for certain people and
absolutely
need support.
But you think about where, so obviously the money that is getting paid is tax money, so people that pay taxes. Yeah. And there's people out there that pay shit tons of taxes because, they make shit tons of money? They pay more taxes? So why not take a bit of their money?
Yeah, it's proportional. Yeah.
Particularly those really higher leveled operations where corruption is a lot more, sort of vulnerable. Because we're all, it goes back to that whole like psychology of like humans. We're all so that's why religion was so big, and it's not big anymore because it's gone out. Science is in vogue, and people it makes more sense. That's probably why. But overall, it
does make more sense.
But at the same time, like people tend to not like think about why that worked. It worked because everyone is just. I feel like anyone can fall off the radar. Obviously, it's more people. Certain people are more prone to it, but. Like that's a structure, and like if you just look at religion as the structure, everyone needs structure, and some people just go mad with power, and like it makes fucking sense.
Yeah, just need a dictatorship.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
People
by the
don't
way.
need to make choices;
That's
you
where
just
I'm
have to make
going.
choices for them.
Yeah. No, that's it. And
well, science is like the new thing now. Yeah, and probably rightly so because it's got a very logical. Reductionist kind of mentality behind it, which always seems to work with the whole rhetoric and all that stuff. Like science always just works because of the system where it's like, okay, well, if this is bullshit, eventually we're going to find out and actually break it down and find out that it's bullshit. But
that's the scary thing.
That's the scary thing.
That's the scary thing because when you look at it like that, it's sort of like, well, I mean, imagine because we're all social creatures, we're all sheep. Let's face it. In a nice way, But back if we were all having this conversation and this was the age of the religion being the popular notion, obviously, there might have been a point where we just kind of just made sense because everyone's saying that it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like everyone's just saying that, and now everyone's just saying that science and the way medicine works, the way anything works is you kind of still are taking that knowledge with a grain of salt because you can still, if you're creatively minded enough, you can realize how that cannot be true. Like when you get that deep with it.
But you think about when religion was at the height of its time, science wasn't as prominent.
People just didn't know what the fuck.
There was no counter to what it was. and people just grew up with the understanding that they had, and then suddenly science came in and sort of became that
a testament as well that science
thing.
Isn't completely like discorrelated with religion. Like they can meet at when science is like in the minority.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's become it's like a superpower. So
it's still my favorite. Like I picked up a Stephen Hawking's book one time. I can't remember what the book was. It was a nice big thick book, so I just flipped to the last page. And essentially, Stephen Hawking's last sentence in the book, trying to explain the whole universe, he just says, "It just is."
Yeah.
And if you can't be any more less scientific than that, that's Stephen Hawking's. It just is like fuck.
I think you can, and also like as a person, any person is seeking to just be at peace, right? Like I think that's obviously what we all want, and it just is quite a peaceful thing, just as much as when I die, I'm going to go to heaven. Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It's a nice safety blanket. Yeah, it is. Makes you feel warm and fuzzy. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it's better if you're a nihilist, then maybe not.
You see, I, in terms of modern science and all that, like I get it, but the only dark side to that is when it's married with capitalism, and then you have this ticking time bomb. Because it's like, okay, you've got the formula to work out whether things are true or not, right? But now you've got certain interests going like, okay, that's going to be a threat to our profits or whatever, right? And then that's where the information can then be changed to suit
manipulated.
The narrative. To suit the narrative.
Well, it's the whole argument.
Same with the pharmaceutical industry, right? At its core, it's a good thing. But then you marry that with capitalism. Now you've got a toxic thing that's ready to blow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I see exactly what you're saying.
Because people are now willing to exploit people's health and well-being for the dollar, right? So then now you don't have that, we're just doing it to benefit humanity. Now it's like we're doing it so that we can maintain our power structure.
Yeah, that's
when it gets sketchy. Same with religion. Same thing. Religion was okay, and then now you marry that capitalism with it, and then now they don't pay tax. Now the Vatican is fucking molesting people left, right, and center.
Well, think about the saying, history is written by the winners.
Yeah.
Where essentially what people know is defined by who writes it. And obviously, the loser's going to turn around and write their side of the story, but no one's going to believe it. because you're the loser.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to you think about all this science and shit and all these books we read, all these shows we watch, obviously there's still I believe that there's that kind of
there's still that power play
still happening.
Yeah.
There's always a power play, and some people they're just smart and they just have the capacity to just win you over with words and make it make sense. It's all a seller's game,
They're glorified car salesmen, and when it suits the agenda and it's going to benefit them, then they're going to twist everything to suit.
What's that comedian's name that had a talk show? Dennis Miller. Is that I'm thinking of Dennis Miller, and he talks about the death of common sense, and how essentially where people were just forgetting about people don't think about things for themselves. They just take things at face value. Whatever you read in a book, whatever you see on TV, people just
that's the biggest shortcoming because I think there's a sense of freedom to just open up and be yourself. And then also think, for yourself, and you can as long as you've got good intentions, but it's a more powerful and correct approach, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Gaddafi had good intentions.
Yeah.
Pablo Escobar had good intentions.
Look what they did to them.
Look what happened, and don't think it can happen to you. Because it will.
JFK had good intentions.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Right, we're dropping a lot of names.
That just went no. Everyone just went, oh shit. Oh.
How the fuck did we get onto that topic?
Let's talk about music.
But okay,
let's talk about me, guys.
No, something we were talking about outside, and we were talking about trying to find peace. Now,
okay, right.
Peace with tinnitus. Now, were you saying before you have tinnitus?
I don't. If I say that. That makes people be like, I don't want to work with him. I don't want to work with that guy. Nah, I mean, look.
Transparency will win everyone over, man.
I think everyone who has played in bands, suffers from a bit. And the thing that people don't realize about tinnitus as well is it is hereditary. That's the word, isn't it?
Hereditary? Yeah. Hereditary, passed down.
It's passed down. It's it's in your DNA. So it's in mine, and I have always kind of controlled it. I mix quietly. I hate loud stuff, but I do like to get loose to loud stuff. You know what I mean? I like to just go to a gig and just.
You play in a loud band. What's the deal with that?
Well, that's part of the fun. That's part of the social. When I'm mixing and just in my own freaking world, I'm definitely more on the introvert scale. In my every day-to-day life, I'm mixing quiet, and I hate the hecticness.
Yeah.
And you do have to kind of feel it, but I think tinnitus is more if it's getting to you, if it affects you, if you hear it, because if I think about it, I'm like, oh, I can hear ringing, but I can't remember. I honestly cannot remember the last time that I remember it.
Yeah, you've just found a way to.
Actually, it was. It was the story that I was telling you outside. Well, it's not really a story. It was just we were installing double doors into the studio, and we had a podcast. Not a podcast. Sorry. They were doing speech recognition technology. They were creating it, so they needed a complete a silent room. They needed to be below negative 30 dB on a meter. And so we're all sitting there once we've kind of double doored the room and just complete silence, complete isolation, and doing the test, and everyone just shuts up, and we're all musos, and it's just like, everyone's like, I can hear that ringing, I can hear it. It's at least nice to know that other people, it's like, we played in bands for a few, a long time, and there's a bit of that, but it sounds. I don't want to sound like I'm defending myself. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound like, oh, wait a minute, no, because you got to hear me out. You got to hear me out. But it doesn't affect me, but it's something to worry about. You know what I mean? You gotta
definitely something.
You gotta be careful and wear protection and. Protection. There's a quote right there that you can take from that.
That too, yeah.
I have hard times trying to sleep because as soon as my head hits a pillow,
hits the ground. You sleep on the ground?
Yeah, I sleep on the ground. I've slept on the ground as well.
I know what you mean.
I don't have that. I just fall asleep.
You don't have that?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah. I think mine is I've actually sat there because I've got a certain frequency that's always going.
Yeah.
And I've been there before and I've heard another frequency come out of nowhere from like behind me. Like
Whoa.
a different frequency to the point where I've actually spun around and gone, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, right.
It scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I've been at gigs where my ears started clipping out, like just...
Actually peaking.
Whoa.
Yeah, like peaking.
Like peaking, yeah.
Like my ears are totally fucked.
Do you wear ear protection?
I do have... For a long time, I didn't wear them. But
right.
now, just like, apart from Tangled Thoughts leaving the other week when I didn't intend to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Wear them,
for
but
me,
yeah.
That's when you need
it's
it.
those nights when you're just like, you're pretty... kind of like loose and you
just
just
like,
forget about like you're like oh shit, didn't wear it.
Yeah, do that too many times and you're fucking not going to hear a band again.
Yeah, well that's the
Yeah.
thing, you know. Yeah, you gotta be careful.
But there was also I did a lot of reading and stuff in it. They reckon tinnitus was actually a myth at some point as well, where they thought it was just in your mind.
A mental issue, yeah.
Yeah, where people didn't believe it was real.
Mm.
I mean, it is. It's just a signal to the brain. Like it's not actually real. It's not like there's a sound there,
Yeah,
right? Is that right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's no sound, but
but it's got something to do with the hairs, like the small hairs in your ears.
the cilia have flattened.
Yeah, and they can.
Well, that's hearing loss. That's when you lose certain frequencies. But in terms of the tinnitus, it's when the cilia are vibrating, right?
Oh wow.
Because
yeah,
they've
that
been
makes sense.
overstimulated, so it's ringing a pitch in your ear all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's
But-
even way because apparently like your ear canal is connected to your jaw somehow, and they even reckon like if you have like jaw tooth problems, that can cause
Trigger
it as well.
Yeah.
Ear, nose, and throat, they're all connected
Yeah.
with canals. So that's why they have the whole department for ENT in the hospital. Like, it's all connected, ear,
Wow.
nose, and throat. So, yeah,
Oh,
that's
wow.
why,
Yeah.
you know, those Buddhists, when they go and all that shit,
Yeah.
they're actually resonating through, like, their pineal
Every-
gland, through their ears and everything.
Yeah.
So there's a lost art of chanting and mantras as well that we've lost. you
It's
know?
very
Yeah.
interesting because, I mean, the only technique I know of, and I should probably learn more various ones, is like the resonation. The resonation? Is that a word?
Resonating.
The resonating show.
Yeah.
That's great. The resonation sounds like a Hollywood movie.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, like through the nose. You know, that's how the proper sort of, or you know, you do warm ups and resonate through the nose. So
Especially for singers. Do you sing?
No.
You don't sing
I do
backup or anything?
backups. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I
backups.
love to
Backups.
sing, but I'm
Yeah.
not good. But I love to sing.
Yeah.
I'll sing you a song.
Yeah.
Right? Just give me a tune, give me a click, and I'll.
Yeah.
I'm like Michael Cera, you know, in that movie Superbad, where he's forced to sing,
Yeah.
and then I'm that guy. You know, I'm on that level.
Yeah. But we've all come back from a gig and we've shut the door to our cars. You know, the impression I always do where you're like, okay, bye guys. Yeah, see ya. And you're just driving home like oh my god. Do you ever get like out of nowhere, like one ear would just dull a little bit and just go
Yeah.
I get that
Yeah.
sometimes.
I think maybe
Just one ear.
probably choose to not remember it.
Yeah.
Like, you know the feeling on a plane when
Yeah.
you go up and when the pressure changes, your ears like they pop, like they
Yeah.
close up and then they take a while to ease up. I've had that before as well, where one ear just randomly just goes. Gung.
Yeah.
That's just normal pressure. Because, there's pressure in your ear, and it has to be relieved a lot of times. So, there's
I've
air.
got a
and-
lot of pressure that needs to be relieved.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
It's way too much innuendo, guys.
my
Come
God.
on, settle down. No, this is great. I'm learning.
Yeah.
Learning things.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Where the fuck were we? Oh, yeah, music. So,
Me, we were talking about me.
talking about you. So, when did you actually first pick up an instrument?
I was so I was always doing sports. So like started with ice hockey. It was basically my dad was the channel for fun, and my mum was the channel for structure and discipline.
Usually
And,
it's the other way around.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Usually dad's like, fucking get up, you fucking lazy. No, wait.
Yeah.
That's how my dad
that's
does
my
it.
dad,
it was like role reversal for me, but
Yeah.
but yeah, my mum was just badass in that regard, and have a lot of respect for her. But my so it was the channel for for fun. So it started. Well, yeah, the first channel for fun was actually like going into. I used to live in England, so Woolworths is actually sort of like a big. It's like
Tesco's.
Big W. Tesco's and Tesco's is Woolies.
Fuck it, let's go to Tesco's.
Yeah. So going and the channel for fun was I'll buy you these pop CDs. So I was just like mad grounding in pop, and then like my dad bought me a guitar when I was like 14 or 15, or my sister was playing guitar before me, and she's younger than me, and yeah, I just I think I was learning how to play her one upside down because I'm left-handed.
You're left-handed, yeah. Fuck
out.
Yeah. I'm left-handed too. Yeah.
Out.
But I learned.
Maybe I'm the one that needs to get out.
Yeah, well, maybe you need to get out.
I feel like left-handed isn't. It doesn't have a bad. Does it have a bad reputation?
It used to. I remember when I was in primary school, they used
you
to
could just smudge your pen.
That too, yeah. When you used to use pencils and stuff, and you would smudge them. But yeah, like all the kids in primary school were like, "You're gonna die earlier than everyone else," and I'm like, "Fuck you! How dare you say that to a kid?" Like,
so is that just the common sort of like school ground?
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I think it's a pretty reputable myth that left-handers die earlier, or they have they're more inclined to have mental illnesses, apparently.
God.
Which explains a lot.
Well, because they do say like they're a bit more creative as well, right? So maybe it all sort of ties hand in hand. I mean, I feel a little bit like that. I'm definitely not your most sort of like normal person. Yeah. Kind of weird open mind. I always think that I have an open mind, but it kind of freaks me out. Like I feel like it's too open-minded. And I think there's like maybe it's just because I'm left-handed. I've got a weird quirk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's natural to be open, but that gets shut as we grow.
Yeah. Well,
mine, I've always remained open, but the downside is, you're kind of gullible to a lot of shit as well. Yeah. I'm fucking gullible.
That's
I've got crystals in my pocket. I'm fucking gullible as shit. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. But, yeah, a bit of a correlation with that. Were you, was your whole family musical or artistic? Because that's another generational thing.
I thought you were going to say, was your whole family left-handed?
I think I'm just yeah, imagine that. No, it's a family. No, it's just my I'm just like my mum, pretty much. Like, I'm very much like her. And she's actually, she's like a bit of an academic, kind of like social, degrees in sociology and that sort of thing. And it's weird because it was like someone like very close to me said, it's just a friend, was like, you're like a musician that kind of wasn't meant to be a musician. That's and I kind of do feel that way sometimes. Like I feel like I
think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think I know what you mean.
Because it's my belief system with music as well. It's like some people are such musicians, and it's like I'm like, bro, open your eyes, but also I'm so jealous of you. You know what I mean? Because everyone's strong in different areas.
I know exactly. Is it weird that I know exactly what you mean?
Yeah, you get it?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not crazy.
Is that imposter syndrome? Like, that phrase has come up a couple of times in the podcast too, where it's like, okay, I'm doing this, but why do I feel like I still don't belong?
It could be true, though. It could be true, and you should embrace it if you believe it, and use it.
I know why it is. Well, for me, because I don't have tattoos, I'm not taking drugs, and I'm not fucking bitches. So
you're taking drugs right now. You're drinking a beer.
Yeah.
Oh,
you fucking hypocrite!
Bastard!
You fucking hypocrite. But no, it's that feeling. But
everyone needs advice, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, it's that feeling of not, even though yes, I'm in that industry or scene or whatever the fuck you want to call it, even though I hate that word, but it's still that feeling like I'm still an outsider. But that extends to all aspects of my life, not just music. Like even politically, like relationship wise, music, job wise, I've always felt outside looking in.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
Yeah,
and even
you should
when
embrace it, maybe.
I like it though, but it does weigh on your self-esteem. Like when I'm hanging out with like other really good drummers, I'm just like, I'm not supposed to be here. You know that feeling?
Yeah.
When I'm around people of a high caliber that I look up to, I'm just like, I shouldn't even be. Like I've supported bands and I've walked out of band rooms because I'm like, well, I feel like I'm.
But you know what? I mean, you know what's funny? I've worked with you, right? So I can. As someone that works with a range of, like Whopper musicians and then, Jono's band from down the road and then because like drummers that go to Whopper are just obsessed with, like those really good ones. They're they're obsessed. All those really good musicians, for that matter. But you know, I don't come into a recording session and go, oh, this guy is the best drummer in Perth, so this is going to be the thing that breaks me as an engineer or producer, or you know, or just give me a great credit, you know, like and I've worked. What I was saying is I've worked with you, so I can definitely, you know, testify that you suck. And you're terrible, man. And you really need to just practice
He was about to give me a compliment. You fucking cut him off.
You just made light of the whole situation, and I was about to just make this guy's weekend.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, man, like, you know, you're obviously not playing some crazy jazz thing, or, you know, but you're still holding down. I think it's important to. It's like you master your craft, and it's a creative thing. So you hold down your thing that you do. And for someone like Travis Barker, it's crazy, but it still sounds like Travis Barker. And part of it is the like, how the fuck does he do that? But you know, I know so many just straight. Well, like, I might get in trouble now. I don't know. I'm almost scared to mention Rob's name, but the very man that owns this thing that we're in right now, he's a drummer, isn't he?
He's a drummer.
And you know, like, he's one of my favorite drummers. But you know, you never see him going, you know, and just like doing some, or going on about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's where I'm coming from. It's like, I mean, and also that's what I like. I just love a drummer that's just like a beast, and like he's just holding it down, you know, like he's just hitting it and then grooving.
You're serving the higher priority, which is the group, the band,
and you're also, you know, like, serve the groove. Don't serve, you know, like, if you're gonna put all that time into it, do it right.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you know, it's a lot of, and I think that's why a lot of musicians get tunnel vision, because their life is about becoming the best musician, and that's also cool. You know, there's no right or wrong.
Yeah. But if you want to be in a band, you got to just work with people. So I think it's weird. I find a weird correlation with this podcast and music, like the art of seeing where it goes and just being able to know your place in the group dynamic. That is way more important than how fast your paradiddles are, or whatever.
Oh, man.
Your what?
Yeah.
Paradiddle.
What?
You what?
Did you just make up a word?
He's like the bully in school, like, paradiddle, you fucking dickhead. But then the only difference is he smashes you to smithereens, and you have no say in it. You can't even, like, explain what it is.
Yeah. Look at this fruitcake practicing his paradiddle.
Paradiddle, what a
God.
fucking dickhead. Let's smash him.
Yeah. The amount of times, like, people have come over and I've had the drum kit set up and they're like, play me a solo, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Just like straight beat.
Yeah.
And they're like, but where's all the fancy shit? And I'm like, but I played it really, really in time.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Like, I've never been like a flowery.
Me neither,
drummer.
man. I mean, I'm not a drummer at all.
Yeah, but you're a guitar. But still the same thing.
I think I'd love to. What I'd prefer to do at this point in time with my, you know, what I can do is actually learn how to play drums really simple, rather than like learn how to play bass more complex. Although that is also would be cool.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go too crazy into anything. I just want to kind of do the things that I think will enable you to write good songs. But that everyone's got a different agenda as well.
Yeah.
And you know, if that. Yeah, I think what you're alluding to as well is, you know, that I don't want to throw out cliches, but, you know, it is an art form. It is, you know, a form of expression. So obviously, you know, there's more to it than just being really, you know, serving your own ego or being a machine, which a lot of people love that as well.
Yeah.
So, do you think, like,
and it works as
like,
well.
if you know how other instruments are being played, like if you learn other instruments, does it make it easier to understand what's actually happening?
I think so.
And also I don't want to throw away like the value of being an amazing musician. Like that's something that I would love to work on more. And I think that it's important not to kind of get to a certain point and go, oh well, I'm never going to be able to, you know. And you don't have to become a master of everything, but just, you know, being curious enough to maybe and. Just it doesn't even need to be music, right?
Like when I said all that stuff, it was still with like I have a respect.
Yeah, with respect.
Like for that, like
it's like having a giant thing.
I have
things that men have.
No respect. No respect.
Disrespectful asshole.
It's a toolbox.
But you know, like inevitably it all stems from my own like self-esteem and stuff. Where I feel like because I don't do all that stuff, somehow I'm not like allowed to be around those people. It's really stupid.
It's funny because I can
stupid.
relate to that, man, like big
Yeah.
time. But it's so, you know, just I think we're lucky. I don't know if every other music community is like this, but at least what I find with that is that maybe it's also when you have, like, I have so much respect for these people that I'm referring to, you know, the people that are just incredible musicians, whether they're in a rock band or a jazz band or just in a cover band. I have so much, like, I think they maybe don't realize, but I kind of look up to them. But it allows them to kind of like maybe have respect for the what my strengths are or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important because there's, you know, everyone can inspire you in different ways.
Yeah.
And that's but that's where that's, you know, if I'm going to sort of offer something to the music community, then it'll be like my perspective that's genuine. And, you know, and also it's an ego thing. If you're worried that I'm not good, you know what I mean? If you maybe think that, you know, like it's just your ego and maybe you humble yourself to know that, you know, okay, it's not the fact, you know, I can't do this or whatever, but, you know, you obviously got like a whole bunch of strengths, and music's just one facet of life. It's one element of life anyway. So, you know.
Exactly. Like I've always said, even though
unique.
people know me maybe more from drums a little bit more, I've strangely never considered myself a drummer.
You know what's funny? I actually,
you know what I mean?
I think
Does that make sense?
Well, the podcast that I listen to, you know, I've listened to a couple of podcasts with you guys, and I kind of like was more interested in your personality, like what you had to say, knowing you as a drummer before, but I've never really spoken to you. I've probably spoken to you like a little bit more, but like I was like, whoa, like this guy, and the fact that you were doing the podcast, it was like, you know, this whole other like side, you know, strength, and, you know, that the ability to communicate and like be really in, like, you know, you need to know shit. Let's face it.
Yeah.
I can run a podcast, man. I can do it. But like, you know, you need to.
We
kind
definitely
of like,
don't know shit. We don't know.
Well,
shit.
you need to be you need to be good at conversation, right?
Well, yeah, being able to facilitate,
and that's a skill in itself. Facilitate conversation. You know what? Like that's actually what I meant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you know that and there's probably like a whole bunch of extra skill sets that we all have, and you have to kind of like understand that and not get too caught up in, I need to outsource this, and you know what I mean, if you're not good enough. Even with me, like, you know, with recording, I always get a drum tech pretty much all the time to tech and like help me out and help communicate with the drummer, because it just makes the service better. But if I didn't sort of see that and like think, no, I can do it, like, and then, you know, shaking at the knees whilst I'm trying to understand what the hell this drummer wants, or why is there something ringing there that I can't fix because I'm not a drummer, I don't have the hands-on ability. It's like, well, maybe accept like your limitations and then like use other people and really embrace people that are like better than you at shit, and you use it and team up together.
Well, there's independence and then there's interdependence, and that's the goal, where it's like, even though we do live in a DIY sort of culture at the moment with entrepreneurs and all that sort of stuff, especially media now and musicians, like, you still can only get so far just on your own.
Well, that's the bigger, isn't it?
And then you need help. And it's okay to employ someone that knows what the fuck they're doing.
I didn't read this article, but like I don't really know too much about Elon Musk, but I want to read his like biography.
He's a robot.
But you know, I just sort of saw a couple of articles, like sort of skip through, where he's talking about how he's kind of obsessed with employing people for his company that are smarter than him, is the term, but like, you know, that kind of sums up what we're saying, you know, like, and he's obviously an entrepreneur. He's just like one of the, you know, you just like, he's just a figure of like, oh my God, like, look what he's achieved, look what he's done. But he obviously identifies what we're talking about. So you know, it's important.
He just walks around with the fat pockets, and
he just throws money.
Takes everyone's money. No, he's using it for good. Apparently.
He's going to take over the world.
But
next tyrant. The next tyrant. That ties back to our other conversation.
There'll be like Iron Man or something, real life Iron Man. But no, it's like eventually you have to just, it's okay to say that you aren't good at something as well, and go, I'm going to find someone else that can complement my weakness. Yeah. Whether it be in a band or a business or anything. And it's okay to do that. I think a lot of people, like, they get selfish because they get jaded. and they're like, oh well, that didn't work out with 4 other people, so I'm going to do everything myself now.
Yeah,
you know?
and
then you go down that road, and then you realize, oh shit, I kind of do need people as well.
That's me.
Then,
that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? What do you do?
Yeah,
Tell us.
Essentially, the point where you look at everyone doing stuff and you think to yourself, oh, I can do that. That looks easy. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And
that's also good to have that confidence.
So I kind of look at it in 2 perspectives. Like, one, I'm trying to learn a new art form, whether it be music, art, or business stuff. Something that I want to try and learn. But then you get to that point where maybe I can't do it, and then you're just like, well, you're gonna have to find someone else.
I think there's certain. I think I learned that through just I think I'm now finally doing 10. I mean, I've been recording bands for 10 years, and it's funny that 10-year rule is so true, because I feel like only this year have I really truly in myself go, I could record and mix. That it sounds professional. It sounds like, and I never did think. I always and now I understand the depth of that notion as well, of recording and mixing something at a professional level, because it's like painting a picture and selling art. It really is. Fuck, I just had a memory blank. I can't remember. What are we talking about? Oh shit! Sorry, guys.
That's all right, man. I forget shit all the time.
Oh god, wait. What was your point again? What were you saying? What were you saying? That'll spark.
I don't even know if I had a point.
Oh god, we're doing this. Everyone's hit a void.
There's no point.
Everyone has just hit the void.
About trying to try and do everything yourself.
Oh yeah. Okay, right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So the point was that if in 10 years I still need a drum tech for this thing that I'm doing, and I think that that's going to benefit my recordings, and I might need someone else to set up a guitar. I can do it. I can try it. But if someone's doing it better, or they're just that little extra thing where it's just listen to how good, this is now representing my studio and my sound. Why the fuck would you do, you can do a decent job, but you can't do, imagine if that guy does that and that guy does that, and all of a sudden, people are like, man, your recordings are so sick. Well, yeah, it's because I hired other people to fill in the blanks, and then accept that, and then you might, if it's whatever other skill that you want to do or hobby, if it makes it more enjoyable. I guess in the, maybe we're talking in the sense of a business, and making a business profitable and having a good reputation, and doing so, creating a product of quality. But yeah. So
it's that whole being able to.
I'm gonna peer real quick.
Oh,
keep going.
Yeah. Oh yeah, go grab us another one as well.
Beer?
Oh
yeah, I get another one.
I was trying to keep it secret. Could you grab us a beer?
I was just gonna say how where it can take away your own focus if you've got to try and worry about too many things.
Yeah.
You want to just be able to, we say the same thing with a podcast. If we have to sit there and try and do all the business and networks and
work
shit,
smart and don't
away.
work hard. Yeah.
You want to just be able to just put certain things aside and just focus on what you do.
That's it. No, it's definitely merit to that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But no, so what I love about the studio environment is it's where you get to focus on what you're doing. Actually, when you write a song, you're essentially just writing and just making it up. But when you're in a studio, you're actually thinking about what you're doing. And you sort of nut out.
Give us an example.
Well, essentially, so if you, I'll go for my metal stuff, right? Where you play something, you're playing triplets and you're playing these crazy riffs and stuff. But it's until you're sitting in a studio and it's being recorded that you're taking more concentration on how you're picking the notes and what kind of dynamic you're getting in the sound.
Yeah, it's the micro element as opposed to the macro, and I think that's why when it comes to working in the studio, I like to separate my creativity sometimes, or as much as possible. I like to separate my creativity from my industrious sort of head state. Maybe it's, I don't know why, but that's just me. But when you're in the creative mind state, it's kind of easier to forget about the macro, about is that perfect? But you'd be a little looser so that you're just kind of thinking about the song and thinking about the overall mood, and then you go to the micro, then you actually record it, but you keep in mind that now you have to perform it. It's like your pre-production is your rehearsal, and your actual recording when you're in that studio, and this is the final tracking, is the final cut.
Yeah. the amount of times I've gone into a
God,
studio with
such a cheese ball. I'm sorry. You have a bottle opener?
Johnny has a lighter. The next best thing.
Mate, a real mate opens.
is when you jump into a studio with the rest of the musicians and they all start recording the song, that they realise that that's how they're playing the songs.
Right.
He's like, oh, is that how you're playing a song? Is that how you're playing it? No, it's not meant to go that way. It's meant to go this way.
Yeah. And also, like, I mean, I think where I'm coming from as well, I think the reason why I try and separate the two is because when you're like in the studio and you need to get it down properly, and all of a sudden it's sort of like people are working out, oh man, like, geez, I realize that sounds really bad, or that's really awesome, but that's really weird, and then they have to adjust, and then it takes time. And just on the money factor, like, I mean, I'm running a studio, and we, like, I've got to keep the ball rolling. I'm running a business. I don't like to go full Brian Hood on it. Maybe Google that one.
Yeah.
Brian Hood. I don't want to go full Brian Hood.
Like I'm kind of trying to get a mental image of what it would be. I'm just thinking studio, throwing shit.
Who? Brian Hood?
I don't know.
Oh.
No, just you. I'm picturing you with a pot plant. A pot plant in your studio, throwing it at the band, like work hard.
See, that's the Adam D approach. That's the that's the you suck, but also I'm funny and I'm a comedian. He's great. He's pretty much one of my heroes, one of my fundamental heroes. Adam D. Adam D taught me that, like, with metal, you have to be an absolute asshole, because no matter how good someone is, metal is the most impossible thing to get down. So and you have to push it, people, and I haven't done that. Like even this year, like working with Dead Space, who you guys had on this very podcast. In my mind, I was like, man, I'm too nice. Like Adam D is a prick. That's why it sounds so good. Because you have to kill someone to get the best out of them. Yeah. And they might hate you in the moment, but then they'll listen back to it and go, man, that was worth it.
Yeah. See, that's becomes my dilemma. Is why I'm starting to hate metal, is because of that very fact. You have to be an asshole.
Too perfect. Oh, yeah. What do you mean? Like the producer? Like, no, because I'm talking about producing metal, really.
Yeah, but even in the sort of the state of mind, especially when you're playing and writing metal, you have to have this sort of like aggro, anger things.
But that's why so many metal guys are so freaking nice, and like it's such a like, the scene is actually, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure, like, if you were sort of in the context of Slayer. If you were in those bands, or some of those really messy metal scenes, like maybe it's not, everyone's not so nice. Yeah. But just predominantly, I think, like, metal fans, at least, particularly, it's almost like loving horror fiction or whatever. It doesn't mean you're going to go out and kill someone if you love the most fucked up metal. It's just that it's tapping into something inside of you which is really stimulating, an emotion, and it's a certain atmosphere.
I've always had that with metal, but I find as I'm getting older and I'm chilling out, it's harder to rile myself up to listen to that.
You're in your 30s, man.
Yeah, I'm just not that angry anymore.
That's what I mean. Like, I'm.
You know what? Like, I hate to say it because I play in a metal band, but like, I do. Like, part of me doesn't get that set. Like, I'm a little bit chill, particularly now. It's like, man, what? And I don't even care. I don't even care. And I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. It's like
part of you goes, but then a part of you is almost like happier or like different.
Yeah. Or just matured and... Probably. Well, not trying to say that metal's immature.
I mean...
No, well, it's not immature, but...
It's not.
The way I'm going, like...
It could be,
when you jump on stage, people kind of expect this attitude, like this sort of angry kind of sort of thing to it, and I'm just fucking over it. Like,
do you know, if I
don't like being that.
If I started a metal band, do you know what? If I was in a metal band and I was a guitarist, I would just like be really happy. Then again, that's Adam.
Oh, well, again, that's why I love Adam. That's why he's like my hero, because
he wears a cape. He's just fucking around.
He's just like being himself, and then it's just like, who would have thought that you put like this with this, and that's going to be one of the biggest... like when you go to the metal core or the metal sort of... I don't know if it's Spotify or Apple, but like the categories, and then it's like the heavyweights. So I don't know if it was a playlist or like a category, but they list the heavyweights of metal, and then you see Killswitch Engage's thing there, and you're just like, that's a... like now it's kind of a piece of metal history at this point in time. But like the guy is a complete joke. Like it's the first big band on that level because he's just like it's all real and anything's real, whether it's Metallica or there's a sort of like realness to those bands in that category that do really well, and it's kind of the same for any band. It sort of transcends whether it's metal but
that's why I love Voyager.
I've always found Killswitch to be
I like Voyager.
metal.
I love Voyager.
Yeah, sorry, we just cut you off. Yeah,
I'm done. I'm done. Fucking metal.
Come on, Johnny.
I'm done.
Keep talking about this. Talk about metal.
No, I was just gonna say, like, Killswitch Engage is a happy metal band.
Yeah.
They feel happy. Like when you listen
the major keys, like a lot of those melodies.
It's uplifting metal. It's not this sort of droning.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about metal. Can we stop talking about metal? Let's stop talking about metal.
I hate we're just using that word metal to kind of talk about like whatever, because it's I hate the word. It's a terrible word, but
well, I'll tell you guys the story.
Highly distorted.
Tell us the story.
I'll tell you guys the story. The last straw for me, in terms of metal, and
are you done with metal? What is metal? What are we talking about?
I know.
Define metal.
But I went to a metal show. I went all the way out of my I had a really bad day one time, and I went all the way out of my way to go to this gig at the Swan Basement. And it was a metal gig.
That's where you went wrong to begin with.
That's where I went wrong, because those two fucking white pillars were in the way. No, I'm kidding. But I went
I'm sorry, Swan Basement. That was mean.
No, I love the Swan Basement. I fucking love the Swan Basement.
It's iconic, let's face it.
Is it still going?
Yeah, I think
it's still going. Yeah.
I think the last time I heard from it, there was some mates of mine were playing, and they couldn't get it to run.
Yeah, right.
They couldn't
get it off the ground.
They couldn't get the sound happening.
Right.
So,
oh my goodness.
But it'll never die.
Yeah.
It'll be that place where you play your first gig and
yeah.
And
anyway,
I want to go there now.
Let's go there. I went all the way out of my way to go to that gig. Drove there, paid entry, sat in the crowd. There was hardly any people there. There was like 10 people there for the metal show.
Who was playing?
I don't want to say the name, but who? Yeah,
was that my band?
No.
Okay.
The band was playing like it
was my band. I think it's one of my old bands, probably.
The band was loading in and getting ready, and to sound check and whatever. And the guitarist from the band, who I was a fan of, looked at me and just went, "Faggot."
Oh, what? Did that happen?
Yes, yeah.
Man, that is...
And then I was like, after all the effort I put in to pay entry to see this band...
Name him.
Yeah, but...
What's his name?
Let's get him. Like, we don't even need to...
like,
get him.
No, we don't.
We actually don't need to name, because the thing about that is I already know from, like, what you just said that's, like, probably not a big band, right? Like, I mean, this isn't, like, a big band that we're talking about, is it? Semi-big. Okay, so on what level?
On maybe a national level, or...
So they weren't from Perth?
They were from Perth, but they were doing some pretty okay tours. But anyway,
Swan Basement.
Well, I think
people are gonna. Yeah. But anyway,
but the point is, I don't think you can be that much of a dickhead. And well, actually, no, I take that back. You can. You actually can.
Here's the thing. I know that's not indicative of the whole community. I'm not like discrediting or trying to like.
Well,
call out the whole
it sucks that happened, because if that happened to me, I'd probably be in your shoes.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the straw.
Metal's been good to me.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. So literally I joined, like, that's when I got into like indie bands and stuff, because I was like, I'm kind of done with this whole macho thing. I never fit in, let alone with the metal community. So I was like,
dude, I think, what I honestly like wonder, you saying that now, it's like I do so much metal and like, so many sort of, I don't know, like macho or like or cool metal guys, but I'm obviously like, we're similar. We're like skinny little weedy guys, right? Like, we're introverts. Sort of like timid, barely, sort of keeping ourselves together.
Yeah, but in a weird way, psycho underneath it all.
Just I think I agree with that. Yeah, but it's weird because I feel like I could have had a similar experience, but I didn't. But it's probably just because I like produced metal bands. bands.
And for the most, like, I just want to reiterate, that was like 1 in fucking, 1,000.
Sure.
But it was still enough for
It
me
was
to
enough.
go,
It's
like,
enough,
oh, man, really?
Yeah.
You're going to call a guy that...
Well,
like,
it was
I
the
drove
dude-
all the way to see you and you're calling
It was
me
the
that.
dude in the
like,
band. It wasn't like because if it was just some dickhead fan, you'd be like, well, he's probably got mental problems.
Yes,
But the
exactly.
fact that person's actually kind of like
in the band.
yeah,
I was
like
oh,
doing
great.
good
Yeah.
stuff and like music that you listen to, it's it hits on a whole nother level.
It does. It did, yeah. But I still like it. I'll put it on when I work out.
It's such a it was such a categorization because I think for me like hardcore and metal is part of the same thing because for me it channels the same thing. Even though it's not the same style, it's like anything in that arena. The reason why I listen to it is because of obviously the uplifting factor and the and also I've always played in heavy bands. Like I listen to all sorts of shit, but I think it ties back to being the kid dancing in front of the TV or whatever, like because it's like I've always gone and watched metal shows and just like as a kid, as a young teenager, and really been connecting with the aggression of the and I think now I'm maybe at an age where I don't like a lot of that stuff I kind of watch live and I'm like, well, I've kind of been there, done that, and
over the angst type thing.
Yeah, for sure. So maybe you and I are like in that regard. You just get older and you kind of grow out of it, but then it'll probably come back at some point. It's like
it'll come back full circle. For sure.
It'll creep into your psyche.
I've always been sort of on the outside of the metal scene as well.
Yeah.
Like something. I mean, I've played in metal bands for how many years now? Fucking
10, 15.
long fucking time. But I've like every metal band that I've played in has never really been metal to be in with like the big, I suppose, like the Soundworks metal stuff that was going on back years ago and stuff.
What was that? I like what are they called?
Discord.
Discord.
Do you know they're reforming?
Oh wow, that'd be cool.
They're reforming for a show at Amplifier February something with Psychroptic.
Is Tim in that band? Tim Madden?
Not too sure.
And what's his name? He works at Mega. He's like the best dude.
Rafe.
Yeah, Rafe Houston. Yeah.
He's like the coolest guy. Yeah. So what is he, the bass player?
He's the bass player. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
I ran into Maddie, the guitarist.
Oh, see, I only know Rafe and Tim. Yeah, I've only sort of personally met them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. He was walking around. You know, going. Yeah, don't worry.
I think we're all just giant fanboys, right? We're all just like frothing over old bands.
That was when Perth, when the live. That's when I feel like the Perth live music scene was fucking booming.
Yeah,
when like
with the amplifier type scenes, like with metal.
Yeah,
is it not booming anymore?
I don't know. Well, maybe I just don't go out and see it anymore.
I think the thing is like it's booming. It just there's so many like different genres now. It's just like booming. It's hard to keep track of like where it's freaking booming. And then and then like, for me personally, I'm too old to like like some of the younger like scenes or whatever. I'm just like, oh god, what are they doing? What are these children doing?
I've been keen to check out
grow up.
Jackrabbit Slims, like the old Black Betty's venue.
Yeah, well, that's sort of like the hub for like all the cool young trendy people. Right?
I went past, my Uber driver took me past Jackrabbit Slims, and I looked out the window and just went, no. I'm probably like twice as old as the people. I'm not fucking going.
Yeah, no, I'm sort of the same because I, probably look a little bit younger, but at the same time, I just feel so much older. I'm just like, oh,
hey, you could pull off.
What is this
mid-20s? Mid-20s? Yeah.
It's more probably more probably the content of the dialogue. But then again, like you just meet young people that are just so freaking like cool and deep, and like they have something to say, and you're just like, man. Actually, sort of met. I don't want to name drop, but like, just like someone that's like big on Triple J that is 20 and just happened to be hanging out, and I just felt like, they're 20, and even the lyrics that they write in their songs are like early 20s lyrics, but they're just, like that maturity and that there's something to offer. That like this person's actually quite amazing. They're young, but they're few and far between for the most part. It's just like oh my god, you're so 19.
Low battery.
I'm just gonna say battery's almost on that one.
Yeah. No, but I think I don't know. Maybe it's because we also were booming at the time, so we feel like that was the goal. Like you hear a lot of people throwing around the golden age,
and they're always older. They're always specifically referring to when they were 18.
Exactly, you're like
when the seed was being planted.
I think I see a correlation here.
Yeah,
you're old and you're talking about.
I know.
Exactly.
Yeah, it sucks to go. It's like don't go there. Don't be that guy.
But it really felt like that because you could go out to a gig and you didn't even have to tell anyone. You knew people were going to be there.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, and then you fucking...
And now you've got to look at the Facebook event group first to see how many people are going,
and then
how many people are interested, and then think about,
only 10% of the people that say they're going actually show up as well. So it's like... I don't know. Man, I don't know. Could it even be technology? It could even be the fact that we're so just getting colours blasted in our face that when we go see a gig now, we're like, oh, this has to be on par with that, or it's not worth it.
I don't know if it is, because I do feel like, well, at least at the moment with the way things are evolving, that no technology is... it's like you read my mind. I'm just like, I'm that guy that gets cold so
I saw
easy.
You do this, and I was like,
Thank you.
That's right.
What were we talking about again? With
fuck, I don't know.
Oh God, oh my God.
Oh, cannabis, guys.
It's a hell of a drug.
It's a hell of a drug. Speaking of which, like to totally divert, today.
Let's just change the subject. It's easier.
Perth's first.
I don't care.
Medicinal cannabis crop opened up. One company got approval.
Wait, what's this?
In
Perth?
Medicinal cannabis in Perth. Yeah.
Really?
Yep. So the crop will be ready for, I think, mid next year. But a company got approval out of, I think, 13 companies. Only one made it through.
Okay.
That just goes to show the amount of red tape. But we were actually looking up the... What do you call it? The requirements.
Yeah, requirements to get a permit to grow. It's actually quite easy as long as you just go by the rules.
Yeah.
So you just like that. Yeah, there's a lot of fucking rules and red tape. But if you follow it, then fucking not a problem.
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely an advocate. I just think that at the same time, I as much as I think it's great, I do also feel like that it's overly promoted sometimes to the point where it's like it's kind of overkill. I think it's like anything that's a positive message. Like there's other things, and I won't get too into that. But when something is just it's like done to death, or it's too pushed, it can be like, well, like come on, let's be real about it. Let's be real about it's not like some kind of thing that's gonna like save, will save your life, but it's not. Yeah, like just be careful.
It's not going to kill you.
It's like the same with like coffee or anything that's like a bit full on. It's don't go crazy, because I've seen it firsthand. I think as well. Maybe personal experience comes into it. It's like, all right, just like it's cool, but it's sort of like it's a sacred, like let's treat it in a sacred manner.
Absolutely. Let's not like recreationalize it too much, because I think that's a downfall as well. And there's very obvious pitfalls which I've always considered, which is like, do we really want corporate cannabis? Like big corporations now.
You mean like putting it into the hands of corporations?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, because it's such a big cash cow now. Like, we're talking in the billions now. So it's like, well, it's a matter of time before that gets corrupt too. So
yeah, we'll just grow your own, I think.
Yeah, so that camera's dead, and this one's got 1 minute left.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Should we wrap it up?
Shall we wrap it up?
Man, I didn't even talk about myself at all. I didn't tell you about like what I do. Like,
that's cool.
Come record with me. Sumo Sound Studios @mail.com. Email for bookings and inquiries.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Sumo. if you write a book, can you call it Sumo Wrestling?
Okay. Oh, why, Johnny?
Done.
Why?
Sumo wrestling.
After this is over, I'm going to stab Johnny.
Slap it. That deserves a slap. You've got a bit of a sumo hairstyle going. I only just noticed that.
Don't start with a man bun.
Yeah. So, sorry guys. Like, one of the cameras might have cut out, but fuck it. It's all good. Like, we're on time, and we got most of it, so it's fucking fine. Yeah.
Missionctrl.com.au is all other shit.
Yeah, and thanks to the Hen House. Thanks to you, Tristan, for coming down. That was fucking awesome. I could go for another hour, to be honest.
I know. I'm just getting into it. Can we just talk anyway? We'll just keep chatting, and this can go off.
Well, fuck the cameras. We've got this nice little zoom mic. Have you noticed our little?
I have indeed.
Little zoom.
We picked up this little baby the other week, and it just like because we had a mixing desk. I was using my Line 6 guitar processor for compression and limiting and stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I had to lug that every time and plug it in, and now we've just got this little Zoom mic and everything goes straight in.
I think, look, let's team up and I'll be a sound guy and I'll get you guys, if you need some advising, just hit me up.
Yes,
and then
please. Yeah, because we don't know what we're doing.
I'll be like, do this, do that,
Yeah.
I'll send you in a bad direction just for the lols. No, I wouldn't do that. I'll help you out. I think.
So what you need is a phone, and you just hit record on the phone, and that's all you need.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like, there's producers that do that. That win Grammys, apparently, and I'm not joking.
Yeah, totally.
They're back on the internet. Anyway.
Totally, yeah. Tristan, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm just, I wish I could talk for longer, but,
It's all
love
right.
you guys.
We'll have you back on. We'll have you back on.
Oh, cheers.
Yeah,
Cheers.
man, for real.
Sweet.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.